So greetings from Pennsylvania once again, and more specifically we are down here in Lancaster County in the little town of Strasburg, kind of in the heart of Amish country. And here we are in another cemetery as well. But we're looking for the grave of Annie Gonder. And supposedly she haunts this cemetery as well, and the local mansion that was built by her family. We'll check that out a little bit later today. The Gonder mansion it's called. It's up on Main Street, West Main Street. I can see it from the one intersection up there. Pretty cool building. But as we look for Annie's grave, we'll tell you her story and why she still haunts this area. So this is the Strasburg Cemetery. Decent sized one. You can see the town of Strasburg in the distance. Just over that way is the Strasburg Railroad. If you're familiar with this area, you might know about that. We'll be taking a ride on that later today. At least that's the plan. Yeah, but who in the world is Annie? And why does she haunt this place? So Annie lived here in town with her brother. She never married. Somebody called her a spinster, but she was a bit of an odd person. Kind of with a black sheep of her family. Some people think maybe they use the word simple-minded. Maybe had some other issues. But she lived with her brother's family, his wife Mary, and their 2 children over here in town. And in about 1905, her brother was rich. He was a railroad tycoon. So he started building a mansion across the street from where they were living at the time. But when the mansion was finished, and him and his wife and his 2 kids moved into the mansion, Annie wasn't allowed to move into the mansion with him. She stayed in the little house across the street. The rumors go that her brother's wife, Mary, didn't really like Annie that much. Thought she was kind of an embarrassment, especially when he had guests over. I guess when she was attracted to certain men, she would just laugh like hysterically and just act weird. Kind of like I said, kind of an embarrassment. And Mary kind of resented having her around. So when they moved to the new mansion, Annie was not invited to live with them. Largely due to Mary. Alright, so still looking for her grave marker. There's a family plot in here, the Gonders, but Annie is not buried with the family. We'll talk about that too, but she's nearby. So we find them. Considering he was rich, he probably has a larger tombstone, so... Yeah, the reason she's not buried with the family is largely because of Mary as well. I don't know if I like Mary too much. Alright, I was beginning to wonder if there were any Gonders in here. Here's one, Joseph and Cecile, but these are not who we're looking for. Her brother's name was Benjamin, I believe, and his wife is Mary. So they said they have a family plot here, but there's just one Gonder here. I'll tell you the rest of the story in a bit here, but I kind of want to find her marker first. Okay, there's just one. There should be a... Alright, we'll see if we can find the others. It's a good sign, though. Now, one version of the story says that Annie would just sit in her little house across the street and just stare, across the street at the mansion that she was not allowed to live in. The one that Mary would not let her live in. I know, it's kind of picture that, your family builds a brand new house to live in and you're not allowed to live there yourself. I don't know. Alright, so I finally found Benjamin. This was our brother. He died in 1916. He's the one that was building the mansion. He was like the railroad tycoon. Pretty sure this is the wife then, Mary Gonder. And there's some other family members here from other generations. So supposedly, like I said, she's not buried here with the family. It said far to the left. I'm not sure if that means over here. There's a Brayton. That's an Anne Gonder, but that's not her. It's a later one. Alright, quite a few Gonders here, but no Annie. Alright, so now that we found her family plot, the directions I had said she was buried far to the left and facing the other direction. I believe she was facing the other direction because that's what Mary wanted. Because remember that little story that Annie was always staring out the window and staring at the mansion. I believe that bothered Mary too. So she deliberately buried Annie in death. She buried Annie facing the other way from her family, where the rest of the family was buried. Seems like Mary was a very bitter, or whatever you want to call it, type of person. Alright, well, she's right here. I mean, right here was the rest of her family. The directions I had were way off. They said she was like far to the left somewhere, so I was like looking over there again somewhere, but she's right here in the family plot. So, always be careful about what you read online. Here she is, Annie Gonder, died in 1918, born in 1856. Probably a little hard to read on camera there. But yeah, she is right in the family plot. Right there was her brother, there was Mary. Some other generations of Gonders right here. Some two older ones right here, and right here's Annie. So that mansion that was built in 1905, I believe. But her brother Benjamin, the one who built it, he died in 1960. And I think things only got worse for Annie after that. I think she got along fairly well with her brother, liked him. And Annie only died just 2 years later. She died. But somewhat mysteriously, they found her body in a local creek, the Peckway Creek here. Some accounts say that she took her own life. Others say that it could have been an accident. Others think that maybe something even more sinister may have been the result of her death. But regardless, not sure. But they found her body, like I said, in a local creek nearby here. And it wasn't like she was terribly old. I just kind of doing some quick math in my head. She was maybe around 60 when she died. So yeah, and then there's the haunting aspect of this story. So we're going to go stop by the mansion real quick, because some of the hauntings involve the mansion, and some of the hauntings involve here in the cemetery. So let's go take a drive up to 130 West Main Street to check out the Gonder mansion. Alright, so here we are on Main Street, West Main Street, here in the town of Strasbourg. Making our way down to the mansion. And most of the hauntings regarding Annie occur either in the mansion or just outside of it. Although a few do occur in the cemetery. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm going to take a nice little stroll through town, down to the mansion. It should be just down on that side somewhere. I probably could have parked a little bit closer, but it's a nice day for a little walk too. Alright, and right over there is the mansion. It's got like the two turrets at the top. It's unmistakable. But that's where her brother Benjamin and his wife lived. And Mary lived on this side of the street in a smaller house, which I'm not sure is here anymore. I mean, there's a smaller house right up there, but I doubt that's the one. But that there is the mansion. Yeah, I know one of the hauntings says that even though Annie never lived over there, they say that if you can see her face peering out from the windows, I think from one of the turret windows up there. So it's kind of weird because like she herself never lived there, but now supposedly her ghost lives in the mansion, almost like a way of getting back at those who wouldn't let her live there. Yeah, sorry about the noise. It is a busy street here, although at the moment it's not. But let's take a walk over. I know the other haunting regarding this spot, because remember that part where Annie would laugh like hysterically when men were around? That was one of the problems that Mary had in the old house, is that whenever male guests were over that Annie was attracted to, she would act all weird and be an embarrassment to the family. But supposedly now, since Annie's ghost lives in this mansion, that when men visit this place, they can hear her laughing, her maniacal laughing inside. But as I'm looking, I don't see any faces. It would be super creepy to see a face peeking out from up there. I don't hear any laughing either. But yeah, just on the other side of the street is where not Mary, I keep getting confused the names. I hear Annie, probably not this house, but Annie would peer across at the mansion, like I said, that she was never allowed to live in while she lived. But regardless, whether or not that mansion is haunted or not, it's a pretty cool spot to stop and just check out here in town. The architecture is quite a bit different than the other buildings here. if you do go, just be respectful of the place. It is private property. All right, but let's head back to this cemetery and talk about a few little hauntings that occur in the cemetery as well, due to Annie. But back here in the cemetery where she was buried, some people say you can come out here at dusk or at night whenever and see Annie wandering around the cemetery all by her lonesome. And some people say that even back by her tombstone, sometimes you'll just see her standing right there back by her tombstone. And if it's not Annie that they see, some people say they see like a fog or a mist right in the area where her tombstone is. That supposedly could be Annie as well, just not in like human form, I guess you could say. There's also tales of people coming here and seeing other children. One story says someone comes here and you can see like a child just playing, running around amongst the tombstones. There's another story of a girl in a blue dress that can be seen walking around the cemetery as well. Whether those are Annie or not, there's disagreements about that. That's a younger form of her in some ways. But yeah, if you come here to check the cemetery out yourself, always just be respectful of the place. Just down here off to the left is where the Gonder plot is, where you find her brother and Annie herself. So you're free to come look for Annie yourself if you want to. Come on down to the Strasbourg Cemetery. They probably don't want you in here at night though, to be honest. But you're welcome to come down and visit the site. Learn a little bit more about the history. Go visit the mansion up there on Main Street as well. But anyway, I gotta get ready for my train ride. I'm headed over to the Strasbourg Railroad. Go on a Christmas train ride. All right, but as always folks, thanks for coming along and hopefully we'll see you on the next one.